Hello everybody, my name is Bobby. I just recently picked up Resident Evil Deadly Silence, or Resident Evil DES, as a speed run. The classic mode is basically the OG version of Resident Evil 1, released on the PS1. This is a really interesting port or version of Resident Evil 1. There's a couple of really good bells and whistles and quality of life upgrades that we'll talk about once we start the run. But we're doing kind of like Jill any percent, which is the bad ending. Don't save any survivors or any of your teammates or anything like that. So basically trying to go as directly from point A to point B as possible. All right. So we're beginning, and you might notice that we are skipping a lot of cutscenes and we're skipping doors because this version of Biohazard comes in with an innate door skip, an innate, cutscene skip. So that essentially cuts this game in about, half the amount of time that is necessary. I'm going to be referencing the PS1 version of the speedrun a lot just to give you guys a little bit of a comparison. But we also even kind of route this a bit differently than on PS1 as well. So, in the PS1 one, you kind of want to take the least amount of cutscenes, or cutscenes that, waste the least amount of time in order to progress. But we take a little bit of a divergence from that since we can skip any and all cutscenes. So whatever leaves us closest to our objective, like our immediate objective, we opt for instead. So we're gonna go a little bit early with getting this blue jewel on down. One really cool thing about this, about the knife mechanic in this game, is that the knife actually does not take up an inventory slot in this game. So you'll always have it with you. Bad thing is you cannot use that knife to get zombies away. It's not like, in Remake, if you're a fan of that instead. So we're coming up onto a very unique portion of this DS run where we do a bit of movement, we quick turn, ready the knife real quick, and that actually kind of negates the pushback that the plant would do to us. So we get the early key, we don't need the chemical for anything. So, in the first couple minutes of the game, you skip the chemical. So yeah, going from point A to point B as directly as possible, and that little bit of, that little tidbit right there, so you don't have to run around. It's really, really good. So we're at the piano room, and this is yep, this is pretty blocky. So I'm actually fairly new to the speed run of this, so I'm trying my hardest to get my turns really tight and not spend any time curving around as much. Damn gold. One thing that you also might notice about the DS version is that the menuing is incredibly quick in this game. The bottom touch panel of the DS allows you to interact with the menu screen, so you can, whenever you're trying to use or combine or examine, you can use the touch screen for all of that. So menuing's really, really satisfying, and it also caused me to buy a couple of styluses so I can have on hand, especially for this, the next portions of this speed run. Yeah, it's actually really fascinating that they managed to squeeze the entire, base layout of this, map dungeon world of Resident Evil 1 into a tiny DS cartridge. And if you're actually paying attention to the top left, the map will always be available to you. It also serves as your health indicator. The background to the map will actually start flashing the more you take damage, from yellow to orange to red, indicating the health status that you're in, respectively. So I actually think this is actually a really accessible way to get into a Resident Evil 1 speed run. Every platform will have its differences in routing and execution, but I found this to be the one that I stuck with the most. I really like the menuing. When I was first learning the speed run, I could always refer to the map, like, so I wouldn't get lost. Very Metroidvania player am I. And we get the first of 4 crests already. So I'll do a slight manipulation, you know, walk then run. So he makes that, you know, wide turn. Gotta grab the antidote for our friend. I mean, if you take too long, he dies anyway, but I guess that's not the point of this. Oh, yeah, a little mistake there. Again, quite relatively new to, like, this is actually my first Resident Evil game speedrunning. Like, a lot of my mutuals are really big into Resident Evil and, like, horror game speedrunning. I just wanted this to be, like, you know, kind of like my foray into it. Really, really fun so far. Like, getting used to the tank controls and, you know, like, optimizing your movement is really key as well. I'm gonna grab this bazooka. And in the PS1 version of the speedrun, they actually routed the bazooka out of the speedrun, so I think it's a tad bit more dangerous because you get to take on Jan, Plant 42, and Nemesis with, you know, one, not the bazooka. I think you do like Jan knife only. You do Plant 42 with the knife. And you do some really complicated movements with positioning Tyrant. But you end up using the handgun for that. There are some sequences that you can't, like, skip, like this. You know, this isn't a cutscene. You know, opening the chamber to the Suncrest. You know, a small price to pay to skip nearly everything else. And then on our way out, we're gonna try to administer the antidote. Didn't work. Sorry. All right, the Jan fight's a little bit wonky. Well, I mean, it's not a fight, right? But there are very optimal, you know, various optimal ways that you can do this fight. I'm still a little bit on the green thumb side. I want to make sure that I elicit an attack from him first. Some will just run like directly ahead and like curve to the left there. But you can easily like you can easily bump hitboxes and yeah, be on your very merry way. Yeah, so even though like the backgrounds, like the environment seem a little bit downgraded to a DS screen, the character models are actually looking pretty nice. I think I remember my first time trying to play through a Resident Evil game. Like, I tried to play through RE1 Remake with Chris, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Yeah, in the end, like, cutting down this time is just going to be like, you know, optimized movement and just making sure that we don't get hit. So speaking of not getting hit, I mean, like, you can take a couple of bumps here and there. Another unique thing about the DS title is that you actually don't really limp when you're in, like, critical health. So your run speed's not affected. At least not by damage. But obviously, you know, getting grabbed, getting hit, you know, any stop to your momentum loses time in a speedrun segment anyhow. Thankfully, there are a couple of times here where we can menu a first aid spray or, you know, any sort of like health pickups along the way if you want to stay safe about it. And it's really quick to get through with the touchscreen being able to act as a controller to the menu. And you'll actually be seeing a little bit of that right here as we take, you know, we put these crests in. And I'm using the touch stylus to select, and I'm using the A button to to use. And right in there, I sneak in equipping the grenade launcher. So yeah, menuing is really rewarding in this game. Rather than this version of the game, this category, and all that. All right, and we're onto the courtyard. Dogs are actually, I think, were really good to me this run. I think there were some cutscenes that you can skip in Resident Evil 1 on PS1. I think this was like, might have been one of them. Yeah, for those that are wondering, I am using a hardware capture card mod for my Nintendo 3DS XL. Or rather, the 3DS LL, since it's the Japanese variant. It costs quite a pretty penny, but really happy to be able to stream the handheld titles, especially since the eShop closed down for 3DS and Wii U and all that. All right, under the guardhouse. Now, we picked up the bazooka. It's an incredibly powerful asset, especially with the quick reloading that we can do with the touchscreen and menuing. So get that guy out the way first. There's another guy coming up here, but we're going to grab this empty book. I think you can make a full dash out of there, but I just wanted to walk to to make sure. And again, no matter how you what sort of HP you come into here, before Plant 42, you will get a chance to heal using the first aid kit. All right, pick up that dorm key. I mean, this is pretty much like the mid-game lull in this game, this category. Now we got this. We got a pretty lengthy block puzzle. And we are, since we are streaming this on hardware, the game actually, kind of lags during some pretty intensive parts. This underwater segment coming up will be a big indicator of that. It's block puzzle time. Apparently, I forgot how to do block puzzles. But yeah, the game lags up quite a bit on hardware. If you'll look at the speedrun leaderboards for Resident Evil Deadly Silence, you'll see that like 90% of the submissions are emulator. The loads are even faster. You can get through the doors and cutscenes and all that a lot faster. There's also reduced lags in those segments. It's really it's handy, especially for practice. And since they are part of the leaderboards, they are officially accepted as speedruns. There's a couple of handheld, actual console times up there, and I want a gun for at least close to the top time of the DS handheld. I think that's around like 29 minutes or so, 29:50 something. Really, really great expert play. And I use that run to reference a lot of my learning and movements myself. And if you did want to take picked up the speedrun on emulator, there's a whole auto splitter for pretty much all the categories, all the characters as well. There we go. Very, very laggy. Like it kind of like slows down a bit in PS1, but like she lags a lot. And much like PS1, you can skip that cutscene where the shark's out. Lots of buttons to press here. We'll grab that second dorm key and then we'll head out of here. So yeah, with the door skip and the cutscene skip being in you know, like an official you know, port of the game, like I think this might be like the best way to speedrun RE1. You know, there's even some like unique tricks like the chemical skip and the early route divergences and all that. There's also a rebirth mode that's, you know, kind of like the arrange, but it also introduces a lot of the DS features, like hardware features, like using the touchscreen for puzzles, using the microphone for some segments as well. There's a lot of other extra content. Like there's a I think there's a 4-player co-op mode in this game. So if you have if you have 3 friends that have RE on a DS, so again, just kind of take a sip of that first aid spray before taking on Plan 42. Freeze up a spot, and you know we're also topped up at our health.
Nothing bad ever happened to Jill ever. The end.
Absolutely, we skipped the cutscene, so I mean we don't know what happens, but I'm gonna tell you, nothing happens to Jill. Oh, hello, Barry. Yeah, I'll probably do another commentary video where we'll go through the Rebirth edition, or Rebirth variant of the playthrough. It's a lot more liberal with its save spots and ammo drops, but difficulty amps up. Always love this part. Like, there's not really any like music going on here anyway. There's actually like some music, some bits, and some sound effects that are like omitted from this title. If you noticed earlier in the Yawn fight, he doesn't really have like a, you know, like a appearance scream. It just kind of uses the sound effect for his attack over and over. This is pretty funny. Now, the hunters in this game are quite fearsome, but like, you know, about just recently I've kind of learned how to deal with them. Now, one thing that I forgot to do in this recording of the video is I have a little bit of a route divergence where on my way to one of the picture crest puzzle, I'd unlock that door because like I can't like mash hard enough to to get in the door, to unlock the door and get in without that hunter tapping me. But again, it's okay. Here we go. We'll do a quick reload, get freeing up more inventory spots. This grenade launcher helps us out quite a bit. All right, on the second yawn. After he attacks me, I'll aim upwards so I can so I can let off that grenade launcher a little bit faster. So you can see we're in yellow health right here, and the touchscreen definitely lets you know that. I don't think that the screen flashing like contributes to the lag. I'm not sure. All this time I'm saving for my attempts is just basically not getting grabbed by these enemies. It's like learning how to maneuver around them. And take this extra ammo. We're gonna use nearly every bit of it. We generally have no reason to fire off this grenade launcher until nearly the very end of the game. Let's skip this cutscene here. There's a couple of ways you can dart to this door, like going the more conservative route, but you can walk to the right of that zombie. Like you just straight walk to the right of that zombie and thread a needle. If you walk a little bit too far to the right, then you'll get grabbed. The manipulations for the hunters make them like kind of like the least threatening enemy in this game. Rather, I mean, like in this category. I do think the dogs are a little bit on the worst side for, you know, nipping at you here and there. Like even this, like it's a jump scare, but it's the easiest dodge ever. Like, especially you just hug that wall there. Yeah, we're coming off of the mid game lull. We'll head underground soon. Just gotta drop this battery off for the lift real quick. I think that's another thing that fascinated me about this game is that it's technically a Metroidvania. Technically a 3D Metroidvania. You know, there's a little bit of backtracking you gotta do. There's things that you gotta do to progress. There's things you must acquire to make yourself stronger. All building up to that last moment. Now, do the items, like, you know, also aid you in battle? Not necessarily. But this grenade launcher pretty much gets the job done on all fronts. Yeah, I didn't know that the dogs can get that active that quickly. Again, I am new to this this run, or just like Resident Evil speedrunning in general. So if you got any tips, feel free to leave a comment. If you have any games that you know you would like me to, you know, run and commentate, you know, just piquing the interest, feel free to comment to that as well. I definitely am not done with Deadly Silence. I do want to, you know, learn Jill True Ending. You know, learn the rebirth side of things. Like, this is a really, really good game. I think people should pay more attention to. All right, we're underground. I think after the crank, I think I do juke these other hunters. Like, I grab that first. You can still kind of see, like, even though the knife doesn't take up like any like inventory, we are still kind of squeezed for inventory space. we don't really visit any item boxes to drop things off at, so it's all just like, you know, careful routing. Honestly, while we're going to have to you know, manually reload our grenade launcher. But again, we use nearly every bit of ammo to efficiency here. Hello. Giant spider. If you hold both shoulder buttons, you won't auto target the spider. It's one thing to help you not waste any ammo. That's like one of the very first things I learned when I was labbing the underground lab. Like, how do I get around without Jill like auto aiming? All right, this room is where we get the blue book from. Then after we use this crank, then I'll actually do the manual reload. You gotta be like You gotta be facing almost like directly north in order to interact with that crank from that angle. It's a bit of a hassle for me to properly position myself. Yeah, just like we are, our pockets are full.
Still gonna pick up the safeties. I'm ahead by quite a bit.
Yeah, so I do pick up a couple of safety herbs here for a little bit of mixture. Because I was not confident in my chimera movement, getting away from the chimeras in the lab. It did chunk at me. I think I did lose a run to either that or just like not having enough health to take a tyrant attack. I was already ahead by a good bit. Oh, in my PB. Again, still not done with this category, so if you'd like to see like live attempts of Resident Evil speedruns, or I mean, I do other games like Castlevania and Mega Man and pretty cool indie games, you gotta make sure to follow my Twitch channel. We stream live on Twitch and TikTok, and then we post videos to YouTube. So eventually, like, I mean, like, pretty soon we'll route out those safety herbs I picked up. But again, if you get super confident in your movement, then you won't need them. Actually, it's a little bit of a hindrance if you still have those in your inventory. And actually here in this run, like, you can safely get rid of them before Tyrant. Anything else will cost you an extra menu. You can't pick up the master key from Wesker. So this is an interesting part. So this part is like it's lengthened. It gets like its bells and whistles. You get like the login screen and everything, and you have to enter the keyboard prompt via a touchscreen. So I messed up like a little bit here, but it's a little bit faster when you menu via the touchscreen. But like the login screen makes this sequence a little bit longer than PSX. Like this is like the only thing that's like a little bit longer than the original PlayStation version. Like it's unique. You know, we for a certain motion, so we know that B2's unlocked. And again, with all the doors and cutscenes we've been skipping, like just about to be a 30-minute, maybe like a high 30 speedrun. So if you're all about action, like I know some people like love Resident Evil 1 because of the cutscenes, but if you're a speedrunner and don't want to, you know, sit through those whenever you grind through an attempt, consider picking this up. It's only a little bit different in routing, but in a really fun way. All right, here we go, the Chimera rooms. So I try to just like brave through them and try to like weave around them. Like there is a thing where you can just like immediately back up to make them whiff their attack, but
Dude, that one hauls ass.
yeah, they can go after you. You see, like I try to weave a little bit too late there. And it's just scary how they're all bunched up. I don't know if you already like assumed, but we're running on Biohazard, like the Japanese version, to scroll through less text, which also cuts down on time a bit. You know, skirt around this one.
All right, I think I know how I'm gonna play this.
So, orange health is not that great when fighting up against Tyrant. Like, if you get a clean fight against them, and we're skipping all the cutscenes here. If you get a clean fight against him and he doesn't hit you, like, that's fine. But if you are in orange, he does have a 3-hit combo that will kill you from orange. And again, like, just using that menu space to consume the herbs before I equip the grenade launcher, saving up a little bit of time, very minimal time. And we still have a lot of time to route out, you know, because like the time picking up and combining adds up quite a bit. Yeah, we're on our way out here. So those first two will throw up on you, but the second one will actually grab you. So you gotta be really careful. Goodbye, Barry. Sorry. Yeah, speedrun's been fun. It's been fun learning and, like, you know, trying to optimize the movement. I think we got the route down a fair bit. I hope this entertains you. Like, this is my first time doing like a, you know, commentary video, but I thought this would be like a really good opportunity to, you know, kind of share a perspective from someone who's new to running this game, a fan of speedrunning, a speedrunner, you know. So all that thoughts and all that stuff. But yeah. So like under 31 minutes. Take that flare. And it's a GG.
We got to a very high 30. This is huge. This is huge. So this would mean that we're a little bit over 1 minute from the top time on a handheld console. Like, an emulator is a lot faster. Oh, well, I mean, like, well, we gotta look at the IGT, but yo, this is huge, huge PB. Sorry, Jill. But we needed to go fast for the bad ending. That is huge. Now, let me see what that is. $30.48.
Yep.
30.48. That's less than a minute from the top time on console.
Yeah, so for at the time recorded, again, we're using the handheld console, and it's a little bit different, a lot different in loading times and speed from emulator. So this is about a minute, less than a minute IGT away from the top recorded time. So hopefully we get to do some more attempts of this soon. So again, thank you folks very much for listening to this. Let me know in the comments if you want to see some more Resident Evil. Be really, really cool. All right, take care now.